on Star City Games, and Sherwin playing a list much closer to the one that Caleb Durwad and others have been advocating.
So there are the players on your screen right now. Adam Prosak on the left, Sherwin Poo on the right. I think it looks like the players may be sort of examining each other's exact deck lists to figure out just all what secrets they have to deal with. Both players with the sideboard-wise have a bunch of submerges. Sherwin with only 3, while Adam has 4, and both players also have the Singleton Life from the Loam.
Yes. The loam for Wasteland being a potential big breaker.
Adam also has 2 Scavenging Oozes in his sideboard. I don't know if those end up coming in. I think they probably do. It seems like some of the cards in the deck can get trimmed. Things like those Spell Piercers. I don't know how great those are in the sideboard games.
Yeah, the sideboard games go on much longer.
Right.
Because you just have better reactive tools.
Yeah.
So it's harder just to beat someone's brains in really quickly.
In game 1, there's really no good answer to Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf comes down, Tarmogoyf bigger than everything, nothing kills him. After sideboarding, both decks have a lot of submerges. And submerge makes it very easy to get Tarmogoyf off the board. So the games get a lot grindier.
I'm curious to see, Sherwin has 2 copies of Surgical Extraction in his sideboard, and I'm curious to see if he's going to bring them in the mirror match as part of a.
If he does, what he wants to do with them.
Right, part of a full land screw package. Between the loam and.
I mean, if you do hit a tropical island with Wasteland and extract it, there's no more green spells.
Yep,
not at all.
Prosak does not have a Taiga or a breeding pool or any any way to get out from that. So it seems once you have Brainstorm in the deck, I feel like there's more of an incentive to play with high risk, high reward cards. And because you can always, or you have the opportunity to get out of it.
Right. Yeah.
You just shuffle it away when it's bad.
If you draw it when it's really going to be not going to be great, you can get rid of it. Whereas that's not true in other formats where you see a lot of people really like cards like Surgical Extraction, and they often really like them for the wrong reasons. They're just like, I killed my opponent's Baneslayer Angel, and now I can get rid of the rest of them. It's like it's not really a very good use of a card.
Yes.
Whereas I killed my opponent's green source, and now he cannot cast green spells. Is a much better use of that card, and also when you can sort of get rid of it when it doesn't have any impact later on, it's a lot better. So we're off to the races. Sherwin
Both
Poo
players lead with a tropical island.
Sherwin Poo with no action just yet, but he has a Wasteland and sends the turn back.
Prosak has 1 land of his own. It's his own Wasteland, obviously. So
standard, typical usuals. And he plays the Wasteland.
Not really.
Doesn't really want to use it to. It just gets stifled here.
Yeah, he's both land screwed, and he doesn't want to play into the jaw. In the upkeep, he's doing it.
Yeah, which means that Sherwin has to use his stifle during his upkeep, so he can't. Ooh, just lets it go. I thought I saw a stifle in Sherwin's hand.
It's possible he's another land, and he just wants to tag his fetches instead. If Sherwin's hand's a little land heavy.
Sure. Yeah, I buy that. It looks like Sherwin does have a couple copies of Scalding Tarn, I believe. Oh, but Adam just drew a real land, so Sherwin's plan may not go quite as he had hoped.
Although Sherwin's hand appears very land heavy. He has multiple fetch lands. Appears another Wasteland.
Yeah. Does he have a Goyf or anything?
I think he has a Goose, but it's...
Well, there's another
it's going to draw a Brainstorm in response. And
it's going to find
2 lands, very good, including a Volcanic. So again, he doesn't have to play into...
Yeah, he doesn't have to just get stifled.
He's going to put back 2 bolts.
So we have to keep our voices down just a little bit. The hall's beginning to pretty much clear out, and there's only the finals going on here. So we have to watch our volume. We also have to apparently watch our volume because we're causing earthquakes as the table shakes over there.
The Mongoose beatdowns are so severe that it literally causes the table to shake. Brainstorm is going to be met with a Pierce.
And I mean, so far, Spell Pierce seems like it's doing a lot better work than Stifle.
Because, he was able to cast it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also, Stifle's a card that's much easier to sort of play around. And here Sherwin is going to go for his Stifle.
Yeah, I assume If he wasn't willing to use it on the wasteland, I have to
Yeah.
assume it's because he's trying to do this.
Right.
The red, blue, green Stone Rain mirror match.
And stifles it. Prosak is going to
Dazing.
float mana and daze. So that's going to resolve.
And he's going to fetch. And Prosak is approaching threshold.
Yeah, that goose is nearly loose.
Possibly an argument for doing all this activity before combat.
Yes, that would give him threshold here. So he would have dealt an additional 2 damage. Oh,
You're going to bolt him with a mana floating.
Sure.
Pretty clear that
Oh,
Sherwin...
is this in combat?
Oh, we are inside combat.
I believe,
okay.
yeah, I believe him actually maybe inside combat.
All right.
So Prosak saw all the angles.
Prosak still got it.
So that ends up being 6 damage. So Sherwin goes to 10 life, I believe.
Yeah.
And with nothing really. I'm
A stifle in the mid.
I'm sort of curious to what Sherwin's hand was at the beginning of this game. I mean, is that a Goyf in his hand that he's just unwilling to cast, or is that... Well, that's a spell snare, I believe.
He has a spell snare and a stifle.
See, I think his hands are so reactive, and you know, just can't deal with a single mongoose, which is exactly what's killing him. He's just got some bolts now. Prosak riding his goose to victory. Sherwin, one might say, his goose is cooked. And there's a lightning bolt, which is lethal. He's going to force of will the lightning bolt to kill himself.
Based on that game, it's sort of hard to believe that this is the best deck in Legacy. Just going to put that out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, you know, you couldn't deal with a 1/1 for a bunch of turns. Then it turned into a 3/3, and then you were just dead. Yeah. You're just dead.
Could that draw have been a draft deck? Or would you have just packed to a sea
What if it's like your opponent's a hill giant. You're like, I give up.
So we have.
So yeah, we have Adam Prosak here in the finals. Adam has already won a Legacy Open this season. He won in Cincinnati, as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
What other player in the top 8, who was in fact Adam's opponent in the quarterfinals, has also won a Legacy Open this year? So that is our trivia question for a Gen Con badge. So if you want to win a Gen Con badge, which you should because Gen Con's awesome, tweet the answer to that question with the hashtag SCGPremium, and you can win Gen Con badge.
The best 1, 2, 3, 4 days of gaming. 4. Plus, there's a Steak and Shake.
Yeah.
Just like
and St. Elmo's is just the best.
There's literally just no reason to ever leave.
Yeah.
Just
It's really kind of unfortunate when I have to leave St. Elmo's, specifically St. Elmo's. Like,
yeah.
Indianapolis is pretty cool, but St. Elmo's, man, it's good.
It is
Man,
awesome.
it's good.
But if you're on a budget, you get Steak and Shake too, and that's actually awesome also.
It's true. Steak and Shake is pretty good.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments from the Star City Open series was in Charlotte last year, where we went to a Dave & Buster's near the tournament site, and there was a Steak and Shake adjoined to a so there's a Steak and Shake adjoined to a Dave & Buster's.
Okay.
So we go in to get Steak and Shake, and then outside the Dave & Buster's, someone is arrested and in the process of being tased. So we got to sit on the trunk of my friend's car eating Steak and Shake and watching this dude get tased. And it was just like,
Okay.
this is sweet. I really enjoy Magic tournaments quite a bit.
All right, well, let's hope there's no tasing in the finals here.
Yeah, based on what I saw, you do not want to have that happen to you. It seemed really bad, from what I could tell.
I hear.
Yeah, don't act the fool in the Dave & Buster's in Charlotte, because those
They
cops
take
do
that
not care.
seriously.
Do not care.
All right, so here we come back for game 2. Sideboard-wise, we were saying that the sort of the texture of the matchup changes pretty significantly after sideboarding, though game 1 sort of looked like a sideboarded game. It was just dominated by Mongoose.
Right. After board, the targeted creatures, there's just a lot more interaction points.
There's Submerge, and Force of Will, I think, is one of the cards that probably is pretty bad.
Right, all the pieces are roughly the same.
Everything sort of, there's no real standout spells that you really want to counter that are worth the 2 cards.
Yeah. It's only, and furthermore, like a lot of the times where you would want to counter something, you're you're tapped out or close to it. So Force of Will also plays very poorly into dazes and pierces potentially as well, which is another reason.
You can get in some serious trouble if you're relying on Force of Will.
But yeah, Force of Will is often a card that players are just unwilling to cut, and it's actually quite bad in a lot of honest matchups.
Yeah, I played Bant for a while. Just didn't have Force of Will in my deck at all, just because I thought that Force of Will was, in the majority of matchups that you wanted to play, Force of Will was just pretty bad. And that, in the matchups where you wanted that effect, you could have Spell Pierce plus Hate Bear type stuff.
Yeah, it's way more powerful in combo decks as a way of pushing through something. Like in High Tide or Hive Mind, that card is insane. And in these sort of decks, it's more of a it's good at leveraging your best draws, and it's good at protecting you from the other decks' busted stuff. But it's often a card you don't want to naturally draw. For example, I know when I'm playing Burn, I'm often quite happy if my opponent keeps in Force of Will after board.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, cost them life too.
Yeah, sometimes if their deck's especially sought to Price of Progress, sometimes they don't have a choice.
Be important, but
so it looks like Prosak is taking a mulligan.
So. Prosak does have the submerge. Prosak has more submerges, and he also has 2 copies of Scavenging Ooze to go along with his Life from the Loam. I think, sort of looking at the way things line up, I think Scavenging Ooze actually ends up being pretty good. Being able to keep your opponent off the threshold seems pretty important. You're able to eat things with Mongoose, and just if things do die, the ooze can get pretty big.
Yeah, and Sherwin also has a loam plan that he could potentially
being able to eat loam, being able to eat the lands he wants to get back with loam. All of these are pretty relevant. Yep. So Sherwin, he has no oozes anywhere. The third Rug Delver deck in our top 8 had 1 copy of ooze in the main, but this Adam is the only man with oozes left in the tournament.
It's possible he was the only one who could afford them.
It is. Ooze is it's been a popular card. Definitely, I think it was selling for something like $40 in Indy.
Yes,
pretty crazy. So Sherwin opens up with a Mongoose, and Prosak. He is able to get his fetch cracked right away before Sherwin has Stifle Mana. And he is going to play probably a Goose, maybe a Delver.
Possibly a Ponder.
Maybe a Ponder. The world may never know because he's shuffling.
Prosak really just shuffling the crap out of all those foil cards too. Really just wearing them down.
Yeah, beating them up. There's a Ponder, gonna maybe do some more shuffling.
Yeah. And Prosak is going to.
He's gonna keep those.
It looks like it based on the way he's setting
rearranging them. So I didn't get a great look at what he put on top there. Looks like he has a whiteboard card in his hand. What kind of garbage is that?
Yeah, that's insane. Better be Summer. There's a Tarmogoyf.
Goyf. So the Goyf, because of the Ponder, is a
2/3,
and will not die to Lightning Bolt.
But it would die.
It would die to Chain Lightning.
Yes.
The way that works is that Tarmogoyf doesn't check state-based effects to see if it dies until the card is actually in the graveyard. So if you Lightning Bolt a 2/3 Tarmogoyf, then that's a Goose. Yes.
Yeah.
Goose and Wasteland. So Wasteland takes out the Volcanic.
Also potentially keeps any submerge that Prosak may have live by leaving him with a tropical as opposed to the Volcanic.
Killing the tropical would give Sherwin no forests, which makes submerge a lot worse. It's a lot better at free than it is at 5 mana.
Yeah. So Sherwin looking at a Goose and 2 Wastelands, which I have to imagine is good enough to keep here. All you want to do is Stone Rain.
And trading gooses. Geesus.
I'm a little surprised that I'm a little surprised Sherwin's willing to offer this up. I guess Prosak's closer to the threshold. I don't know.
Well, it'll also make the Goyf bigger, and that puts the Goyf out of Chain Lightning range, which is pretty relevant.
So I had to assume we're wasting here.
Oh, there's no
Bang.
block. Yep. Prosak has a goose coming in.
One spot.
And
A Delver.
Delver most likely not long for this world, though. We don't know if Sherwin has another. Oh, Sherwin has a fetch land, so he's got whatever he needs. Ooh, and drew another wasteland.
Yeah, we knew about the all the wastelands from the earlier ponder.
Oh,
So this is going to be wasteland and another goose or something like
dear. Wasteland you again. Probably just going to send. Ooh, he's offering the trade.
Yeah, it depends if he has a bolt in his hand or not, right? Because the Delver's potentially very
Sure.
threatening. Yeah, Prosak can't make that deal fast enough. He
Yeah.
also has a goose. I think Sherwin has another goose in his hand,
Sure.
so he gets another creature in the graveyard and, close the threshold, and et cetera, et cetera.
All right, so the second goose comes down.
I believe that was a Thought Scour for Prosak.
So Prosak really wants a submerge here.
Yes.
Be able to get that Goyf off the board. I can't really tell how many cards are in Sherwin's
I believe he has
graveyard.
how many cards in his graveyard?
Graveyard, yeah, because it looks like Prosak is reaching threshold this turn.
Yeah, I think he's a
Check.
5 or 6. I think he's a card short.
So we have Ponder.
He just does not appear to have found a. I think we're gonna go back and shuffle.
Yeah, looks to be putting them back.
No,
oh
oh,
no.
no.
Goose coming in.
And
And a nudge. He kept.
oh, another wasteland.
He kept that Ponder and then didn't play anything? I guess he played a land. He had already played
Yeah.
a land, so. Alright, he does have a. He does
If
have
it
a
weren't for all the
tropical.
wastelands, Prosak would actually be flooding out of this game, which is kind of curious.
Yeah. And passes the turn back. Sure enough, it looks like another Ponder. And he's gonna cast it.
Yeah. Hit with it. Hit with a pierce.
Pierce that.
I believe there was some applause in the background. The draft open just concluded, I believe.
Okay.
So Prosak, falling precariously low here, really needs a submerge, and then quite a bit after that.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, even if he submerges, I mean, Sherwin can just cast that Goyf again. So, knowing the top card of his deck, Prosak wants to Thought Scour.
He did draw a submerge, so
All right. Well, that's a start.
and a Goyf. Now the big question is if he has a second land. Oh, this was main phase. Okay.
I believe it was actually upkeep that he cast the
Sure.
Thought Scour because he didn't want to draw that card. So this is go. Sherwin draws, and he's going to attempt to submerge.
And Sherwin drawing a. So now if Sherwin wants to recast, he actually has to break his Scalding Tarn, which reshuffles the Goyf.
Well,
So.
he'll draw the
Yeah.
Goyf this turn, on their next turn rather.
Right. So he just wants to.
But now Prosak can potentially spell Snare. Though
He's going to break here. So Prosak trying his best to keep above water.
and I believe this
Falling to 3 is also quite precarious too.
right,
So there's
3 is a pretty important life total.
Does he have a snare?
And
No.
he has a Pierce.
But
I believe
Prosak?
he has a Goyf of his own. It's going to get snared,
Snared.
and
Okay.
that's the game.
Yep.
All right, well, we're going to be moving on to Game 3. One final game for the title of Star City Games Phoenix Legacy Open Champion.
Prosak there at the end of game 2 nodding his head in agreement of the beatdown.
He's like,
Accepting
yep.
it, yep.
You got me.
So yeah, going first for Prosak, in theory should reduce a lot of the value of Pooh's Stifles. I mean,
Right.
that's the big change in the...
Yeah, going first, I going second Stifle is definitely a lot worse. He's
Yeah.
unable to get the first fetch land. He's if he wants to be actually developing his own board, he is going to have trouble leaving blue mana open to
Yeah.
actually cast those Stifles.
So down to a third game here. Is there anything you think you would change about the way you'd board here?
I think the same cards are good,
Yeah.
at least from Adam's side.
Right.
I could see maybe wanting to cut a couple Stifles from Sherwin's deck on the draw, though I don't really know. He doesn't really have any cards in his sideboard for this matchup.
He's got 2 copies of Pyroblast, a Loam, and again the big question mark is how does he feel about Extraction in the matchup?
Yeah.
And since he's sort of on mono land screwed as his plan to begin with, I'm sort of a fan.
I can certainly see it.
The other thing is, if they're not for this matchup, it's sort of unclear what they're for, right? Like, you're capitalizing on people's, fetch land heavy and, dual land heavy mana bases in theory. Like, that's the major incentive. Stifle has some utility in some store matchups and can do some other random stuff, but for the most part, it's for this. So if you're cutting it here, then I'm not really sure
Right.
what it's actually doing in your deck. Somewhere, Drew Levin is watching with bated breath.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. I know he despises a Stifle. in these decks.
I've never really been much of a fan of Stifle. I understand the role it plays and sort of the mana denial strategy, but in particular, I remember like the bug style, like sinkhole Stifle decks. It's like those didn't even have particularly fast clocks that they were getting on you.
Yeah.
They didn't even have like a guy who could play like turn 1 and follow up with Stifle. So
yeah, certainly the Rogue deck is able to capitalize on it in a way that the bug deck that you're describing can't really.
Right, exactly.
So it seems more in place here. Sinkhole is a card that's sort of gone the way of the dodo.
Yeah.
Daze and Snare being
Right.
the hubs of the format.
I mean, I think the so many of the decks have become so much more mana efficient.
Mm-hmm.
The sort of key decks in the format being Rug Delver, Maverick, and then the Stoneblade style decks.
Yeah.
Are just able to operate on much lower land counts. You don't really see the sort of junk style decks or like bug style control decks really anymore.
Oh, I'm sure those decks still have good matchups somewhere. What I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, you still see them. You still see them from time to time.
Right.
Like for instance, Nick Spagnola was very successful with the bug deck.
I played against it at Grand Prix in Indianapolis, in fact.
Yeah.
As recently as then, one of my opponents was.
And I mean, but also a lot of these decks that do have mana bases that might be somewhat vulnerable to single often tend to have cards like Life from the Loam or Crucible of Worlds.
So both players keep 7, and we are underway here.
So Delver comes out for Prosak off of a Volcanic Island. Sherwin taking a bit of time to think of it his first
Yeah,
turn.
he has the option of trying to bolt here or just wasteland him.
He's going to go with Wasteland.
Does like a land screw.
He is consistent with his plan. Kill all the lands.
This doesn't. I don't think that works.
Do?
I don't think that.
Not only is there no.
That's not even
forest-
close. That's not even
there's,
close.
There's
to,
so many reasons that's not.
there was
legal.
never an island in his side of the board or a forest on Prosak's side of the board.
He's like, after I kill your only land, I'm going to attempt to submerge your guy when I have no lands in play.
All right, and a wasteland from Prosak, probably signaling that he is out of mana. So.
Or they just doesn't want to play a forest to get submerged now that he doesn't show has one.
I do actually think he is out of lands, though. Oh, good. Another wasteland. So he can wasteland the wasteland and then in response crack the fetch.
Yeah, that looks like what he's going to do.
Yeah. The crowd is having a grand old time watching this battle right here.
So Sherwin now has an island, so he can cast a submerge, assuming Prosak plays a forest.
Oh, no, we might be going and getting a volcanic.
Changed his mind.
All right, Prosak with 7 in his hand.
Ooh, there is another Submerge. And Sherwin, the only one casting spells.
Yeah, he drew a second land, which he was without, so now he can start doing his thing, getting the goose online.
Prosak with a grip full of action, but no way to actually put it into action. And that goose is that goose already loose? It's at least very near loose.
Oh, good, a wasteland. And Sherwin has drawn his own wasteland.
He's not even gonna pretend. He's like, yeah, I got
the next legacy deck I'm going to build is going to start with basic swamps and innocent blood. That is where I'm starting with my deck construction. The rest of it we'll fill in later, but I know where I'm starting. This is absurd.
It seems like a decent core of a deck, given this.
Oh, with Submerge. Yeah, so both players have a bunch of Submerges in their hands, some soft counters.
No lands.
No lands. Pyroblast.
And there's a lonely goose.
Like if Prosak draws a green source of mana and casts a Nimble Mongoose, this game could go on for another 20 turns. Alright, Sherwin draws a Ponder.
Prosak continues to be unable to play any spells.
Sherwin holding up Stifle in case Prosak draws a fetch land.
And there is a Ponder into... Ooh, we got more land. Doesn't have a green source though.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would have kept that.
Right.
But unlikely to be too important here.
Oh! I don't think I actually don't think Sherwin can beat a. Are we at threshold? Yeah, we're at threshold. All right, we got a game.
Oh dear.
Oh no! Sherwin drew his own nimble. Does he not have green mana?
No, he doesn't. He just pondered and kept the volcanic island. He doesn't have access to any green mana. He actually, I believe, has another goose in his hand.
Cool. Block. Can't cast anything. Cool.
All right. Well,
there's a Tarn, and we know he has Stifle up. Doesn't cast into it.
There's another goose.
And he has a discard, it looks like. Probably a Submerge. So Prosak's just on a Nimble Mongoose, so it's now the writing's on the wall here that he has a Stifle, and so he's actually unwilling to break his fetch land, which is pretty awesome play. Just force Sherwin to discard.
Yeah.
Sherwin also has Force of Will in his deck still, which is okay.
Right.
So he's bolting instead of discarding. Yeah. Yep. And discards, and we're done. A green spell.
Welcome to Legacy.
Yeah, the power level of these decks is just exceptionally high.
After 8 rounds of Swiss and 3 rounds of single elimination, we have this, the final game.
Sherwin cast a Brainstorm.
Being determined by nothing but flawless play from me. Oh, God.
Oh, he drew it. Yeah, oh, no. Oh, no. I'm not critiquing the play. I'm sort of critiquing the construction.
Oh no, I'm not suggesting that any problem with either player's play at all. I'm just saying, it's not exactly hallmarks of elite skill.
All right,
wasteland you use it. But
there it goes. Can't quite repeat. Congratulations to Sherwin.
5 cards.
Congratulations to Sherwin Poo. We had the whole range of Legacy on camera for you today.
Absolutely. Everything from